877-381-3811. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you've been here all week, all month, all year, all decade. Because we have laid this out. We have said what's unconstitutional, the abuses of power from day one. We knew right after the election they would seek to impeach this president. I'm not going to play the audio. We've done that before. We knew back in early May of 2017 what was taking place, the domestic eavesdropping, the FISA abuses, the unmasking, the involvement of the FBI. We laid it all out right here despite the abuses that we took. I've been pointing out now for some time, you cannot indict a sitting president. I dug up the two old memoranda, each memorandum, one from 1973, one from 2000, laying out the Department of Justice's case, that you cannot indict a sitting president, and in fact, all that's involved in even bringing through the criminal processes was something that the Department of Justice said, as its official position, would undermine the presidency, would undermine the president, and would substitute a prosecutor's power and the power of a petit and grand jury with the power of Congress to make the decision on whether a president is to leave office, not a prosecutor with his own agenda. About this being an impeachment investigation early on, not really a criminal investigation, although if they think they could get away with an indictment, they would and will. We talked about those 49 questions, those 49 areas, and it was obvious that no crime had been committed, no criminal kind. Any investigation that this Justice Department has wanted to do, this Justice Department has done without any interference from this president. The presidential prerogatives, that is the president's right to fire or hire whomever he wants for any day. We have laid this out, ladies and gentlemen, day after day, month after month. I hope you've been with us for all this. You and I together have been very prescient about this. And when you study the Constitution and study the law, and when you've had experience at the Justice Department for many, many years, now why am I bringing all this up? Because we're taking the next step. The Eastern District, so-called, of Virginia. They have what's called the Rocket Docket. It's one of the fastest dockets in the country. They pride themselves, these federal district judges, on moving their cases quickly. Really quickly, because you see, they understand that whatever they do will go on appeal anyway. What's particularly important about this particular federal district is it handles the cases that come out of the Pentagon, because that's where the Pentagon is. It handles the cases that come out of the CIA, because that's where the CIA is. It handles the cases that come out mostly with federal contractors, because that's where most of them reside. It handles very sophisticated spy cases and intelligence cases. It knows how in a sensitive way. And so now we have the case of Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort, you know I've been tracking this very carefully, which I will prove to you in a minute, made the argument in a civil aspect of the case in the District of Columbia, where they brought a civil case saying that Mr. Mueller's operating outside of his mandate. The judge at the time seemed somewhat skeptical, although somewhat intrigued, and in the end she did what most liberal judges do, got the answer wrong. Now, charges against Manafort, this time in the Rocket Docket, Eastern District, Federal District. Liberty or not. That is criminal case. Criminal case is much different. And so the same arguments were raised by the Manafort team, and they got a completely different response from the federal judge. I don't know if it'll hold. I hope he carries through. We'll see. But before we get into that, you've heard others talk about it, but you haven't heard others talk about it actually know what they're talking about. February 23, 2018. 6 weeks ago. Pulling up charges. And here's what I said in part. Cut 20, go. I'm starting